opportunity again to explore the nature of the mind and all these instructions and information seep into our daily life and benefit all our kinds of relations. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa.
Pásenle.
Adelante.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Very happy to see you all. And it's going to be a good day because today we are going to explore more of the beautiful Cetasikas, beautiful mental factors, and it's going to be good. Okay, so ready, everybody?
Yes.
Shall we go? Okay, so let's start. So today we are continuing with the beautiful mental factors. As we have already mentioned last week, that when we are doing any kind of kusala, any kind of good actions, then at least 19 beautiful mental factors are accompanying this kind of wholesome chittas, wholesome unit of consciousness, and they are universal. That means that they are always there. Whenever there is kusala, they are always there. So last week we have seen confidence, sada, mindfulness, sati, hiri and otapa, the moral shame and moral fearfulness, and also meaning respect for oneself, respect for others. And so today we are going to go to the next ones. This group, well, actually they are separated individuals, non-greed, non-hatred, equanimity, and then we have 6 pairs. Then probably we'll be able to finish everything. Let's see. Yes, so these 4 we have already seen. So now let's go to these 3 first, and then we'll go to the 6 pairs. So, as we are going to see aloba, then it is important also to remember, that there are 6 roots. Yes, among the 52 Cetasikas, 6 of them are roots, meaning that they are very strong. They are strong ones, and they are important ones that influence the chitta itself. So the loba we have seen already many times and quite familiar with it in experience as well. So greed, loba, and its opposite is aloba, also generosity, which is the one that we are going to explore today. Then we have also dosa, aversion, and then we have the opposite, adosa, or loving kindness. Then we have moha, delusion, ignorance, and amoha, wisdom. So these 6, 3 bad roots and 3 good roots. And actually about the roots, in chapter 3 we are going to explore a little bit more. But it is good and important to remember that these 6 are roots because they are important and they are strong. So as we see in chapter 1, in the chittas, then we have loba rooted consciousness, dosa rooted consciousness, and moha rooted consciousness also. But in the wholesome chitta, remember, loba and adosa, they are always together in all kinds of wholesome chittas. So they are always 2 rooted, and wisdom, sometimes there and sometimes not there. So it can be 2 rooted or it can be 3 rooted. Okay, so let's go to aloba, non-attachment. Now first we will see the 4 devices. The characteristic of non-attachment, aloba, is the mind's lack of desire for or non-adherence to the object. So it is not wanting and not or having greed for something, desire for something, or not being attached to. And the example that the Buddha gave is like a drop of water on a lotus leaf. If you have seen a lotus leaf, it does not stay there. Whenever there is water, it always slide away. It does not attach to anything. So this is the kind of very nice feeling, no? Like non-greed, non-attachment, so it just goes. So this is the characteristic of aloba. Now let's see its function. Its function is not taking hold and not clinging. Not taking hold or not holding on to and not clinging. And its manifestation is as detachment. So let's see a little animation here. So this is attachment. No? Like we are holding on to the things, holding on to whatever it may be. It may be material things, it may be people, anything. But once we let go, it feels like that. So all kinds of baggage that we have in life. So this is, let's say, attachment, and that would be non-attachment. And so this is about aloba, and also aloba is not only not having greed, but it also includes the positive virtues such as generosity that we have seen many times already, sharing, and so besides of non-attachment, it has also the positive quality of giving. And of renunciation as well, both generosity and renunciation. So this is about aloba. Okay, so that's about aloba, and let's go to adosa. Yeah, any question about aloba?
Not only releasing, but also giving, generosity.
Yes, it also has
and also renunciation. It has a nekama ingredient to it that, yes, I renounce this I could use for myself, but I renounce it. So it is, you take it. So it has a deeper layers of mental activity.
Yes. After we see adosa, then we will also go back a little bit to that. And so, is it okay now?
Yes.
For the moment? Okay, so let's continue. Yes? Yes.
Como dice la Madre Teresa, ¿no? Hay que amar y hay que dar hasta que duela. Muchas veces uno renuncia o da algo, o te dicen, es que es un sacrificio, pero hay como ese dolor, como esa, lo hago, pero no lo quiero hacer. Eso,
That is dosa. An inability to really give. Otherwise, if you're really giving, you already gave, and
The mind should be happy.
generosity will never hurt.
Exactly.
Yes.
What Sharana says, you feel happy, giving, then is...
Yeah, cannot
So
hurt.
probably
Yeah,
there
but
is.
still,
Yes.
you did it.
You did it. Yes.
You
So
gave it away,
yeah.
although it hurt, but you did it.
yes.
So,
So there is.
so I think it's better than keeping it.
Yes. But there is mixed here. Like remember, we are looking at microscopic. So it's chitta, no? So when there is generosity, there cannot be this regret or hurtful feeling. It's not possible because it's wholesome chitta, no? So in this moment, it is only actually is happy when it is giving. It's generous and it is with all the nice ingredients that later we will look at everything. So it is always good. But for example, after this mental state, which is so fast, then maybe I don't really want to. Then that one
That's
is
another.
akusala.
That's
Then it's
dosa already.
akusala, and then that could be kusala, agusala. It could be like mixed together. But of course, as we saw some weeks ago, about generosity, when we give something, there are different qualities of giving. You can give like this, or you can just take it. Or you can give something, no, I don't want it anymore, you can take it. Or you give something that is very good quality and even better than the one that I have or something. Or you offer with respect. And so those are superior generosity.
Different qualities of generosity.
And some generosity, I don't want, okay, yes, I give. So this is also giving, but it is a lower quality generosity.
And the kind of seeds that you plant are different.
Yes. The result will come according to how it was planted.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
There are many different qualities on any action. There are different layers. So if we are happy about doing good before doing it, while doing it, and we rejoice because I was generous, then the seed was planted really beautifully. We could have planted the seed but just throw it there, and yes, the plant came up, but the plant kind of hassle to have troubles to come out beautifully. So there is the intention of doing it and the freedom on it, and there is a lot of things to contemplate in all the variables that the mind, how the mind does the action. In this case, the wholesome action.
So in Pali, this is called omaka, is inferior. So inferior karma. So later on, it's going to be very interesting. There are some calculations that we have to do. If, say for example, later we'll go there. It's just an introduction. So we see that there are 3 roots. Yes. Let's go back to the roots. Let's say if the action is wholesome action is being done with 3 roots in the moment, with aloba, generosity, adosa, loving kindness, and amoha, and wisdom as well. So it is a three roots chitta, no? Three roots karma. Yes. So theoretically, and the result should be also three roots because it is identical, no? Like how you did it and how you come out. So three roots. But if it is being done in an inferior way, so that means, like, for example, in one time before doing, well, I was not happy about it, and while I was doing, I was happy, after I was happy, or any of this time the mind was not happy about it, then this karma becomes inferior. And the result of a three root planted seed will come out only two roots. The wisdom root will be gone in this case because it is inferior. So let's say if the two roots, if the action is done with two roots, and any of the timing or other factors that makes it inferior, then the two roots will give result of no roots because this comes together. Yeah, so if it comes as a rebirth consciousness, imagine even you did the action with three roots with wisdom, but because it was not done properly, not done well, and if it come out as rebirth consciousness, it will only be two roots, so that the wisdom root will not come together.
How to plant a seed of generosity with the three roots? First of it, you are renouncing the object and then you are giving to the person, but you may feel love towards the individual or not, or desire his or her well-being. So if someone is being generous, giving something, but also he feels, may you be well, happy, peaceful and healthy, then metta is already there. And if the person who is giving knows that what he or she is doing is good and is gonna bring good results because the law of karma exists, then he is or she is having wisdom. In that way, the mental, the moment is much more rich because it's generous with love towards the person and knowing that this is good for both. And especially for the one who is planting the seed, then the three roots are there. So there are many, many ways of giving. We can give often it is like often happens that we may give to someone just for them to go away. One time happened that a person was afraid of the man who came to ask. It smelled like alcohol or something. So she, so the generosity was done with fear actually. It was like, go, yes, I give you. So you can see the mental states that was behind. Yes, the generosity was done. She gave something, she renounced, but it was like, please, yes, I give you whatever. So it can really change how we do the actions, and we can start checking all the details, and according to how we plant the seed, the fruit will come.
It's not enough just acknowledging conceptually these things you mentioned, but actually feeling them, right? Like you gotta connect with the sensations and feelings about what you're doing, not just kind of okay, I'm gonna do it with wisdom and I'm remembering what I read or what I learned in the class, but actually connecting in an emotional level with what you're doing.
That would be better. I mean, intellectual is already a good one. Then if you really not just to put it into sensations, but you're really sending loving kindness, for example, to the person, may you be well, may you be happy, free from suffering, then it's more like an action. You are really putting the thoughts onto action, and yes, the emotions naturally will follow the reactions of the body, and the connection with the mind will naturally follow. It will be much better if we do it wholeheartedly, really meaning it. I mean it.
Most of the time, if there is sati, if there is mindfulness, then the actions will be better done. Usually.
Better quality.
Yes. But of course, in all kinds of kusala, there's always sati, because sati is a universal cetasika, no? Universal, beautiful mental ingredient, so there is always there. But whether we recognize that it is there or not is something else. So that's the practice. We need to recognize that it is there, and then we are doing it in that way. Yes? Okay.
What happened?
Yes.
When you are not thinking in generosity, in giving, but there is someone with a pistol and says, "Give me your car," or whatever.
That's not generosity.
Yes, I know it's not generosity, but how can we
Yes,
convert
thank you. May you
or
be well,
translate
happy, and
that
peaceful.
to another state of mind?
That's
So
Abhidhamma
not having mind, not having fear, relaxing, breathing, I don't know, to transform that moment in, okay, I let it
Let go.
Oh.
Yeah, that would be upeka. That would be equanimity,
equanimity.
but not it won't be generosity.
Mhm.
It will be stability of mind, but
Stability of mind.
stability of mind based on equanimity, upeka,
Mhm.
which will be the mind will say yes. And you can put wisdom inside, understanding, wow, I may have planted a bad seed.
Mhm.
Samsara is like not just to think, oh, I did bad in the past, so that's why I'm getting this action, but just to say, yes, samsara is like this.
Mhm.
Suffering exists, I'm not out of it.
Mhm.
What can I do to be free from it? So immediately at that moment,
Mhm.
wisdom can be together, equanimity, but obviously there won't be maybe. I mean, if there was metta, that would be really a hero, like the real masters, that they are even tortured and they are still sending metta towards the people who were torturing them. So that is real mastery.
Mhm.
So people will say, yes, may you be well, happy, peaceful, and we all free from this suffering. Wow, that will be top of top quality.
Okay, so let's since we're talking about metta already, so let's go to adosa. So adosa is non-hatred. So let's see its characteristic. It's characteristic of lack of ferocity or of non-opposing. So it's not angry. The mind is not having any kind of dosa in the sense of from its slightest degree to its deepest degree. Like even fear, boredom, and what else? Anger, or all kinds of aversion.
Impatience.
All kinds of aversion.
But this non-opposing, how beautiful it is, no? And how often we just the
Not
mind
reject.
oppose a little. Oh, yes, but this opposing, it's already dosa family, and not having it just lack of ferocity and non-opposing, it's already going towards
Dosa.
non-hatred.
Non-hatred, yes. Okay, and its function is to remove annoyance or the fever of anger.
Wow.
It's very nice. So it's
Very
this
nice.
opposite of dosa. So it removes the feeling of annoyance, being annoyed, or the fever of anger.
Wow.
And
Very
its manifestation is agreeableness. So also it can manifest in different ways. Say for example, loving kindness that we have already seen right now, and it can also manifest as friendliness, being friendly with each other, and also as gentleness. So being gentle does not mean being weak. So you can see, like as this photo, that he can be very strong, but he can also be very gentle at the same time. So just being soft and gentle, but strong at the same time.
Actually, the quality of gentleness is much more
Stronger.
heightened and strong when the person is stronger.
Mhm.
Because having such a power and that person has the ability to still be gentle with it, I mean that's the stronger the individual, and the gentleness that is shown, it is of better quality, because that means he's or she is being able to withhold that force and show it in a kind way with sweetness.
Yes. So dosa, non-hatred, can be manifested in this loving kindness, friendliness, and gentleness. And also, most of the time, when we say loving kindness, when we say adosa, then we think of loving kindness. Yes, metta. But actually, metta only happens when we wish for the well-being of others. Let's say as Svante was saying, when we are thinking about may you be well, may you be happy, may you be peaceful, or when we are practicing metta meditation, a meditation of loving kindness, then we practice may I be well, happy and peaceful, may my mother be well, happy and peaceful, and may my neighbor or anything and anybody, and then it goes limitless to everybody, may everybody be well, happy and peaceful, all kinds of beings. So this is what actually is called metta when the mind is thinking about the well-being of others. But adosa is actually a little bit wider. Because there are some times, say for example, when we are studying, like right now, when we are studying or when we are practicing vipassana meditation, we are not thinking of wishing other people well, at that time. But at that time, since adosa is universal, non-hatred is a universal, beautiful mental factor. It is always there when there is wholesome action. So even if we are not wishing other being well, it is also there. But in this case, it is not called metta. It is adosa. There is non-hatred. Yes.
How to clearly recognize when we are sending metta is that an individual must be on our mind, either because we are looking at him or her and sending loving kindness, so it is the object, so-called object of metta, that will be a being. Generally we send, we cannot, it is hard to send metta to a building, for example. We can have good wishes for the beings that live there, be well, but to matter is not possible. So generally there will be an individual, a being animal, insect, or human being, or devas, or whatever.
Yes, so when we are doing other kinds of wholesome actions, then there might not be metta, but there is adosa. So adosa is a little bit wider than metta. So in the same way, aloba in the same way, when we are being generous, then that's generosity, yes. But when we are studying, also we are not being generous. We are not giving nothing to nobody
But
at
there
that
is no
moment.
greed.
But there is no greed, so there is aloba as well. So aloba in the same way is a little bit wider than just generosity, but it is also manifested in those ways. Yes?
Lack of anger, or lack of
greed,
non-ferocity,
non-attachment.
non-opposition, non-defensiveness or aggression, that will be and can manifest in many moments.
Yes, okay, so since we are talking about metta, let's look a little bit at the ingredients, the 4 devices of metta itself, because it will be more clear in these ways, and then we see what is the difference. Then the characteristic of metta itself is the promoting the welfare of living beings. And its function is to prefer their welfare of other beings. And its manifestation is the removal of ill will. And its proximate cause is seeing beings as lovable. But this lovable, be very careful that it is not the same as selfish affection, not like it's like love,
grandson.
like this. So the example that is being given is usually like a mother who loves his child, but of course also sometimes a mother also can have attachment to children, but here is the example that is given, like you treat all other beings like your own son or your own daughter in this way, not like oh, I want to have this for me, or like not those kind of affection, but not that kind of lovable, but like a mother towards everyone. Yes. Okay, so let's compare it a little bit, metta and adosa, then we will see the difference. So the metta characteristic, we already see that is promotion of the welfare of living beings, and but adosa is the lack of ferocity and of non-opposing. Yes, so here only, metta is only happens when we are wishing the welfare of others. And here is wider, as we said already. It is in general the not being angry, not non-ferocity. And here, prefer the welfare, and here is to remove annoyance or the fever of anger. Manifestation also is a little bit different. Here is the removal of ill will, like not wishing, as Bante said, the object must be a person, and not having ill will towards other person, the removal of that. But here it is agreeableness, friendliness, gentleness.
Which are quite similar but different. The object is what changes.
Yes, and proximate cause of adosa is not being given in the words. So that's why it is not here. Yes. Okay, so now let's
just to mention a little bit, in the proximate cause is seeing beings as lovable, but is not selfish affection. The closest enemy of metta is attachment. It's easy that if there is ignorance, that we feel love towards someone, but because love is pleasurable and we easily get attached to pleasure, we want more and we want to be with the person, and we start dealing with that person as an object. So that happens a lot in between couples, that happens a lot between mother and son, or mother to son, son to mother, or father. So this is one of the closest dangers to metta. It is this possessiveness, attachment that comes, and then from love, because of the pleasurable experience of loving, which is naturally pleasurable, then the mind ignorantly tends to wanting to possess it and keep it on. And then when that person dies, a lot of suffering comes because we are losing our ability to continue to feel pleasure. Wow, that is very, very, looking at the mind is very raw, but it is, and the attachment, the ideas we had, the thing that we lost, and so this is small there, but we must be very careful not to keep the mind as open as possible, knowing the law of nature. Yes, we can experience love, but you are yourself, I am yourself, we are swimming on this samsara. May you be well in this life and whatever is next. I will support you as much as possible, but we will be separated. So each time you see the person you love, understanding that one day we will be separated, so we don't allow the hooks of attachment or the roots of attachment to hold on. A little bit comes in, we take it out, we take it out, we take the weeds out, so we can love really freely. And if the person, in case of if a couple decides to move on towards another place or something else in their life, even there is a possibility of happiness for the well-being of the other side. Yes, so that will be like kind of civilized.
Yes.
There is a very beautiful video. It's very short, from a Buddhist nun, and she speaks about what true love is according to Buddhism, and she says that it's being happy about the happiness of the other, but not like as we conceptually perceive it in society, and as romantic love, it's totally kind of putting it backwards, because it twisted it, because the conception of love that we have in our society, it's about possessing, having,
that's love, right?
yeah, and it's actually love, and it's attachment. And she puts it into the two categories. That's attachment. True love is I want you to be happy,
Wishing the well.
Wishing the well-being
wishing
of
you
that
well,
person. And
either
work
you are
for
with me
towards.
or without me.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's elegance. That's elegance. Elegant.
So the Buddha, he explained it about the close enemy and the far enemy. It's like the opposite, no? Like say for metta, the far enemy is ill will itself. So it's the opposite, no?
Totally
like
violent.
the ill will, like wishing bad, and that is wishing good. So it's the opposite, far enemy. But the close enemy is attachment. It's very close to, it can easy, so we have to be careful with the close enemy. And also in the metta meditation, that's why the Buddha and also the teachers, they recommend that when we send loving kindness in the practice, in the beginning we send it to oneself, then we send it to another person who could be a teacher or a parent, a benefactor, somebody that is good to us, because then it's easy to have loving kindness for this person. But it is recommended that it is a person that is an opposite sex to us. Say for example a mother, or for me for example a woman teacher instead of a male teacher, so that there would be less possibility for attachment or lust to arise when you are thinking about this person.
Right, you can remember, oh, this teacher, how beautiful she was.
Oh, he was so
And
handsome.
then the mind already burned.
Yeah.
Oh, how handsome he was, yeah.
And he was so nice.
And then the mind is gone.
So it is recommended that we practice in this way. Okay, so now we see that loving kindness, metta, is actually it is not separated cetasika. In ultimate reality, it is adosa itself. But when it is manifested in this way, then it is called metta. Yes, so there is no mental factor that is called metta. When we talk about the ultimate reality of metta, it is actually adosa. Yes, is that clear? Okay.
One last comment, my dear family, just to be aware, unfortunately in our culture, we very often call love to attachment directly. I'm attached to that person, I say I love her or I love him. And I remember very clearly when I was a teenager, when I felt attraction towards a female, a beautiful girl in the school, I said I'm in love. We said in love, but actually it was desire. It was the need to be close and to see her or to listen to her or smell her, whatever. So very dangerous this area around. The point is worth seeing how are we dealing with love? What do we consider love? And start separating desire and attachment, because love is pure and beautiful in itself.
That's why it's called loving kindness. Okay, so let's go to the next mental factor. And the next mental factor is Tatra Majatata,
This
is
is-
for equanimity. Now,
Tatra Majatata.
Tatra
Tatra
Majatata,
Majatata.
equanimity, and it is actually the impartiality of the mind. So it's not taking sides. It's being balanced. It's not not this side nor that side. It's the middleness
Beautiful.
or equanimity in this case. So here, it is not the equanimity that we have seen in Vedana, that neutral feeling. Remember the Somanasa, Domanasa, and Upekkha. Yes. So mental pleasant feeling, mental unpleasant feeling, and equanimity or neutrality. No, that is also called Upekkha. No, so that
It's not that
Upekkha,
one?
it is not that one. It is because this is Vedana Chetasika. This is the Chetasika. This is the mental factor belongs to mental feeling.
It's the taste of experience when the mind is neutral, doesn't feel pleasant, doesn't feel unpleasant. It is just there. So this is just a mental feeling, and this one is,
And
is,
that-
is mental stability.
Yes, Tatra Majatata is the mental attitude of balance, of detachment, and impartiality. So
It's
it's not
higher.
taking.
And
It is not
this is
taking,
this is higher. The other one happens
Yes,
by
yes.
itself.
This
This
just
one
a
is
mental
cultivated.
Yes.
Can be cultivated as a muscle. This one.
So whenever we see the word equanimity or upekkha, we have to be very careful because it can mean different thing in different contexts. So it can mean the upekkha feeling, neutral feeling, or it can mean also the equanimity of balancing of the mental attitude of not taking side, and also of balancing all the other mental factors. So this mental factor, Tatra Majatata, it checks that all the mental factors, beautiful mental factors, they are working perfectly together. That
Balance.
they are working well, and then not one over the other or one less than the other. And Tatra Majatata, this equanimity, since we are looking at the universal beautiful mental factors, it is only associated with kusala, only associated with beautiful mental factors. Then neutral, remember, it can associate with unwholesome. It can
Very good point.
associate with loba. It can associate with moha. Remember? Yes.
But
So
not with dosa.
not with dosa. Dosa only domanasa.
Those
yes.
are always angry.
Or only unpleasant feeling. No?
Unpleasant.
Yes. So that's why here this equanimity is not this equanimity. It is important that we make the difference. Okay. So now let's see the 4 devices. And now the characteristic of equanimity, Tatra Majatata here, is conveying chitta and chetasika evenly. So as I just mentioned right now, so it makes sure that the chitta and the chetasikas, all chetasikas, they are working imbalanced. Everybody is doing their own job properly, not one more than the other or one less than the other. And its function is to prevent deficiency and excess, or to prevent partiality, like not taking this side or that side. So it's being balanced.
Judgment or prejudice.
And it is manifest as neutrality itself, so it's being neutral, not taking side. Okay, Seado Usilananda, Seadoji. Then he says that he likes to take this example for Tatra Majata equanimity as if you are taking the cruise mode of the car. So you just press the button, everything is in balance, just enjoy the ride. So you don't have to do things like trying to balance the car, but you just press the button and okay, everything's just go.
I wish it was just a button. But oh,
So
I will
this
keep it.
this
Just find the button and
Just where is the button? Where is it?
so this equanimity is like a cruise mode. Okay, so now there are 4 Brahma Viharas, meaning 4 sublime states that maybe you have already heard about, and so we're going to introduce it a little bit. If you haven't, then we're going to look at it now. First, Brahma Vihara itself, it means Brahma. Remember the Brahma being?
Yes.
When we look at the planes of existence, we have 4 lower planes, 1 human plane, 6 Deva planes, and then we have 20 Brahma planes. This is Rupa Brahma, and fine material. The Brahmas that still have a little bit of materiality, and here is non-materiality Brahma that only have mind, no materiality. No, so 20 Brahma realms. So vihara itself means a dwelling place or a mode of life or a sublime state. So these 4 Brahma Viharas are actually the mental states that the Brahma beings, they usually stay there. That most of the time their mind is in this kind of state. Yes, so that's called Brahma Vihara. But here, of course, we are not only talking about the Brahmas, we're actually talking about humans. When we practice these 4 kinds of Brahma Vihara, these supreme states, that's why it's called Brahma Vihara, because these 4 beautiful mental factors, they are the place where the Brahmins usually dwell. Their mind usually dwells there. So when we look at the 4, then you will understand what we're talking about. So,
But the
the
beautiful
4
thing is that as humans we can access
practice.
these 4 beautiful, the highest,
mental states.
beautifulest, I don't know how to say, the most beautiful mental states that a human being can access.
So the first one is metta, loving kindness.
Love.
Yes. So, and the second one is karuna, compassion. And the third one is mudita, sympathetic joy, like being happy about the happiness of others, about the success of others. And upeka, equanimity here. So these are the 4 mental states, 4 dwelling place, 4 areas where the Brahmas, usually their mind is, because their mind are quite pure, and so they do not get angry, but sometimes they could have attachment, and they never get angry, and they usually stay in these 4 kinds of beautiful mental states. So when we practice these 4 kinds of practice, being having loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity, these are called the sublime states of Brahma Vihara because of that. Yes, so here, as we see, the upeka of Brahma Vihara, equanimity, here actually it is tatra majatata.
Eso es.
It is that
I'm
ingredient.
related with that one.
That's mental balance and impartiality with understanding. Yes, so it is not the neutral feeling here. No, we're not practicing to have neutral feeling, but it is the practice to have mental balance and impartiality. So meaning that it is not taking favor like of this person or better or that person. Also seeing everything as equal. And also sometimes when we practice metta, or we practice loving kindness or compassion, but there are cases also that there is nothing that we can do. Say for example somebody is suffering but we cannot help. Then we try, but we cannot help also. So this equanimity is the understanding of that everybody has karma, has their own karma. So
Previous
this
actions and
this kind
fruits.
of understanding also. We tried as much as we can to help, but if there is nothing that we can do, we also don't get sad or don't get angry or whatever, but we understand that everybody has their own karma. So, and the mind is stable and is in balance. So this is the kind of equanimity, and which is tatra majatata, and not mental neutral feeling. Yes.
Now, my dear family, I will really open up heartfelt invitation. Remember this ingredient. This ingredient, I believe, is the key for enlightenment. Once we forget about being in negative mind states, forget about anger, forget about attachment, once we move on from there, still on the well-being, this is the tip of mental cultivation, which will be when the mind really stays steady, embracing suffering, embracing samsara with wisdom, embracing the negativity and violence of the world. This kind of understanding together with love is gonna be like the best key that can liberate us from suffering in the deepest sense and achieving the ultimate happiness. So please keep this ingredient at hand. This is, I think, where we are going, and there are some proof. For example, in the 5 jhanas, you remember, there are 5 ingredients: vitaka, vichara, piti, sukha, and ekagata, which is ekagata means one-pointedness, also refers to upeka. So always at the end
besides somanasa becomes upeka.
So ultimately, I think in the last moments when we have a worldly mind before getting to a noble being, that means enlightened, I think this ingredient is gonna be the key, so we can start taking a look how much do we have, how can I improve it, do I have a way to bring it at will, kind of, okay, there is a difficult situation. It will help us a lot in life. Whenever we face something difficult and we are able to bring the presence of this ingredient, immediately everything will fall into its place, and then we can move on. So really, let's keep the ingredient as one of the most important tools for happiness and total freedom eventually.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so this is the Upeka that is mentioned in Brahma Vihara. Although the name is Upeka, but we must understand that the ultimate reality of mental factor of this is Tatramajatata, not Upeka, feeling. Yes. Okay. So it is the understanding of it treats being free from discrimination, without preference and prejudice. It is looking upon all as equal in this kind of mental states.
Imagine if our leaders, world leaders, had a little bit of this. What will be? No, how can war arise from this? If there is no, so it is really one of big keys for prevention of suffering.
And there is also sometimes misunderstanding of if you are equanimous, then it means that you don't care, or whatever, I don't care, no. But this is not that kind of mental state, but being neutral, being impartial, and it's actually close enemy is that. So we should when we are practicing that, then we should not fall into like, okay, whatever,
I don't care,
mind,
whatever.
I don't mind. No, it's not that. It is yes, I care, but just impartially,
Actually,
balanced.
you mind deeply, but there is a lot of wisdom to understand that nature is as it is. So it is balance with wisdom together. Wow, very powerful.
Okay. So, metta, loving kindness, as we have seen already, there is no separated mental factor for metta, mental ingredients. So it is actually one manifestation of dosa, as we see. And in the same way, this upeka, this equanimity of Brahma Vihara, of the sublime states, also does not have another specific mental factor, chatasika. It is included in Tatramajatata. Yes, when it is manifested in this way, like in the Brahma Vihara. Yes, but of course, as we have seen already, Tatramajatata is a little bit wider when we are not practicing equanimity in the Brahma Viharas. Still, it is with all kinds of kusala minds, yes, all kinds of wholesome minds, because it balances all the mental factors, so that it is all doing its proper its job. Thank you. Its job properly, is not being one over the other, excess or less. ¿Cómo se dice? Yes. Now, the other, karuna and mudita, actually it has two separated mental factors. So these ones are two separated occasional beautiful chatasikas that we will look at it later on. Just these two are not separated, but these two, yes. Individual mental factors.
Very nice photo.
Which one?
The one
That
of
one,
the friends.
Mudita. Okay, so now we have finished 4 last week, and then now we have also looked at non-greed, non-hatred, and equanimity. And then we can go to the 6 pairs. And these 6 pairs are really very beautiful and very nice. So now we're going to look at it. And just a little warning, now it's going to come a bunch of Pali words, and don't worry, because the tip of your DNA will get shorter. so now these 6 pairs, I will put the Pali names of these 6 pairs, but don't worry about the Pali. I just wanted you to see that there are 2 common words in all the Pali names. So here it goes. Tranquility of Chitta and Chittasika is called Kaya Pasari and Chitta Pasari. Then we have lightness, Kaya Lahuta and Chitta Lahuta. Then we have malleability, Kaya Muduta and Chitta Muduta. Then we have pliability, Kaya Kamanyata and Chitta Kamanyata. Then we have proficiency, Kaya Pagunyata and Chitta Pagunyata. Then we have uprightness, Kayu Jukata and Chitu Jukata. So 6 pairs of this. So what is the common word that you saw?
Pain.
Chitta
Yeah,
and Kaya.
Chitta and
Chitta.
Kaya.
Yes,
Kaya.
yes, Kaya and Chitta.
You remember
Okay.
what chitta is?
Oh,
Yes.
Your mind, no? You need your mind. And kaya, you remember?
It's
Kaya
coming.
nupasa means body. Body of something. Body.
Now, so let's take tranquility of Chitta and Chittasika, Kaya Pasadi and Chitta Pasadi as an example. So as Svante said, Kaya is usually translated as body, yes? Like Kaya Nupasana in the fourth Satipatthana, like Kaya. But
Contemplation
here,
of the body.
this body, it actually means a combination or an aggregation, which is actually Nama Kaya. It's a mental group. That is actually, it is talking about Chettasika, not about physical body. Because sometimes you see, even the English word body, we sometimes use it as a group, no?
The body
Like
of
the
knowledge.
body of
Yes.
something,
The body
of
of-
something, yes?
The body of, yeah, we use
So
that.
in this sense, it is being used here, so not physical body. And so it is a group of mental group, that means Chettasika, yes? So this Kaya, and then we have Chitta, which is common in the sixth pair, is, of course, we know already, unit of consciousness. So here, it wants to say, this pair wants to say Chitta and Chittasika, not Chitta and body.
The body,
Yes.
the unit of consciousness, the plate, and the body of all the ingredients, we
Ingredients,
can
the
say.
group
So it
of
is
the
actually
ingredients.
mind, chitta and chettasika. You remember, it's inseparable. Always, they cannot be plate without ingredients. They cannot be ingredients without a plate. It's saying the tranquility of the mind
So-
in the plate and in the ingredients. The Buddha was very precise in separating because they are
They
the
are
same.
different functions.
Son lo mismo, pero no es igual, como dice, ¿no?
Sí.
It's the same, but not
yeah.
identical.
They have different kinds, they happen together, but they have different functions. So that's why it is being separated. But here, the only thing that we need to pay attention is that this Kaya means Chettasika. So this pair, Kaya Pasadi and Chitta Pasadi, Pasadi means tranquility. So it means the tranquility of Chettasika and of Chitta itself. So for all the pairs, the 6 coming pairs, it is the same. So this Kaya and this Chitta, it also means only about Chitta and Chettasika, not about body at this point. Yes? Okay, so now let's go to tranquility of Chettasika and Chitta. Kaya Pasadi and Chitta Pasadi is the first pair. Okay, so now let's take a look at the 4 devices of Pasadi. So the tranquility, the characteristic is quieting down of disturbance. Quieting the being disturbed, and its function is to crush such disturbance,
Disturbance.
and is manifested as peacefulness and coolness.
Very,
Very
very nice.
And its proximate cause is Chitta and Chettasika itself is something to be cooled down, no? Like so it is like sometimes our mind is like this. Most of the time. And so with this mental factor, with tranquility, the mind becomes like this.
Todos esos se van
And
a
radiant. Yes. Oh, that is pasar.
So it's become
Qué
tranquil.
buena animación.
Thank you to the sponsor of Fanta. So this is Pasadi.
Sponsored by.
Sponsored by. So when there is mental tranquility, tranquility of Chitta and Chettasika, there is no restlessness or agitation. We experience the cool state of mind without any attachment or aversion to the object we are experiencing.
Again, Sharon. But slowly.
When there is mental tranquility, Pasadi, or mental tranquility of Chitta and Chettasika, then there is no restlessness or agitation. Then we experience a cool state of mind.
Oh.
It's very cool and peaceful, without any attachment or aversion to the object that we are experiencing, whatever object it may be.
So, my dear family, you saw the big word, Kaya Pasadi, Chitta Pasadi. Now that we know what it is, how do you feel? It is the coolness of the mind without experiencing any attachment or aversion. The mind is just
Cool and
fresh,
peaceful.
cool, refreshed, clean. Like after we take a shower, how it feels like physically that, but in
In
consciousness.
the mind. So
It's a
this-
shower of mind.
So this is a pair of beautiful mental factors also. Yes. Okay. So, tranquility, mental tranquility is the opposite to
Oh.
restlessness and remorse. So when there is tranquility, then there is no restlessness and there is no remorse. Remember that restlessness only associates with unwholesome.
Akusala.
Yes, and this tranquility is an opposite, and it only associates with wholesome.
And remember that restlessness is a universal of akusala,
Mhm.
unwholesome akusala, and mental pasadi, mental tranquility, is a
Universal
universal
of
of kusala. So you can see how doing good or doing bad in the mind is opposite. It cancels itself. When there is bad, it cancels good. When there is good, it cancels bad. So actually, it's not so complex what is happening. We just need to direct the mind towards good, and naturally, by doing good, we are avoiding bad naturally. So it's like a thing, like a force that either it pushes, either it pulls, or either it just stays. So this tranquility, this equanimity, understanding that life is just moving, but the mind stays just there, cool, refreshed, non-greed, non-forcing or violent. Very, very logical, no? How it is like a thing that has two modes, either kusala or akusala. So we can, all what we are learning, we can ultimately simplify it to very simple instruction. Just keep the mind stable. Keep steady, keep the mind stable, and all goodness will follow.
And of course, as we have seen before, that there are different kinds of mind, kusala mind, akusala mind, and then we have resultant, and then we have also functional. But as we have seen already before, functional and resultant is nothing to do, we cannot do anything about it, because it's just natural process. So our responsibility is just really as Bhante said, kusala or akusala. But that's where we can do something, where we choose to be. Yes? Okay, so
Very
now
beautiful.
let's continue. As very beautiful
Very sure.
ingredients also, then we will continue with more beauty. Okay, and the Buddha also, he said in the Dhammapada, a fully enlightened person is calm in his mind, calm in his speech and action. He who has perfect knowledge is free, perfectly peaceful and equipoised.
Wow.
So when a person is fully enlightened with understanding, he's always calm in his mind, in his speech, and in his action, and perfectly peaceful. And it's Dhammapada, verse number 96.
How beautiful, no? Really like it.
Perdón, ¿qué quiere decir equipoise?
Equi means from equal,
Okay.
poise, position.
Okay.
Like equipoise is like that. Equal position, no, non-side.
Okay.
And equipoise is also referred to someone who can, I don't know, I mean I will act it, like someone who will be really stable, elegantly stable, like nobody touch, like the up there, equipoise. I say I acted because it is
Not yet there,
not
because not yet.
definitely, but imagine this kind of, even physically. Our teacher says that his teacher, Shoemin Seadoji, it was something that was a bit addictive to see his teacher, how he walk, how he sit. There were moments when
Strongly gentle.
there were
It's very
moments when
strong,
his
but
teacher
gentle.
told the people, stop looking at me. Because people was like, he comes in and people was like, oh. Because he came, I mean, it's a very raw comparison, but you remember the Lion King movie? When the lion comes like this kind of thing that is like, and everybody around is like, oh, something like this. When teacher came, and even when he was sitting and eating, our teacher confessed that he says, when he was eating, I couldn't stop looking at him eating, because he said he never came to the food. The food always came to him. He was never doing like that. And then he was taking the spoon and he was just doing. And they say that when teacher walk, people was around like something. That's equipoise. Something like it's even emanated. It irradiates the body. Something like that. And it exists. Our teacher, Sadhanandamala, he has this quality. When he speaks, he's strong, but when he is silent, I don't know how to say, when he says something and then he waits for the mind to sink in, it's a kind of silence that it's impossible to describe. It's like, you appreciate, you say thank you for this silence. It is, I don't know how to say. He's coming to United States maybe in a few months, so we might go to visit him.
Where?
So if in Pennsylvania.
Or bring him down.
Yes, we are trying, but his health is not very stable. So he now is very careful about choosing how much he travels, and only does it in.
And also I think he needs special diet, so needs somebody who knows how to cook what he needs.
But he
because
travels with
not,
people who
yeah,
takes
because
care
he
of
is
him.
not very well health.
We are going there. Equipoise, one day we will arrive. Yeah. Deal.
Very nice. Okay, let's continue with the next pair. Kaya Lahuta and Chitta Lahuta. So it's the lightness of Chittasika and Chitta. So let's see the 4 devices. The characteristic of lightness is the subsiding of heaviness, obviously. So it's Garubawa in Pali. So is this kind of lightness, not being heavy, and the function is to crush heaviness. Is manifested as non-sluggishness. Non-sluggishness.
Like yes.
And its proximate cause is also Chitta and Chittasika itself, which is to be light. So it is like something like this.
Very nice.
Pero podemos hacer eso ya.
Well, mine can
This
do
is
this,
mine. Mine can do
This
this.
is nothing.
Mine can do this. No
Okay.
problem. Very light, very free.
And very
Con
smiley.
una
Very
sonrisa.
yes.
So that's the lightness of the mind.
Light is nice.
So mental lightness is the opposite to sloth and torpor. Like the
Yes.
heaviness.
Again, goodness nullifies naturally negativity and heaviness of consciousness. So the practice is actually, when we simplify, is not difficult. Just keep it on the good, and naturally the other thing, we don't need to be cleaning if we don't
clean.
throw things and keep. If every time we use a dish we wash it, it's always clean. I mean, we don't need to clean if we keep clean. We don't need to work and scrub the floors if we keep constantly just taking the dust away. Will never accumulate. So the same thing we need to do with the mind. Okay, no dust. Okay, every day clean it a little bit, and it will be clean. So
Cleaning the inner dust.
exactly.
Yes.
So beautifully inspiration to just maintenance of well-being.
Yes, just so a little bit more images. So Tina and Mida, sloth and torpor is like this, and its opposite, which is Lahuta, lightness, is like that. Another example. Mental lightness.
Very nice.
Okay, so let's continue with a saying of Mother Teresa. Joy is a sign of generosity. When you are full of joy, you move faster and you want to go about doing good to everyone.
Wow.
So when we do kusala, when we are doing generosity, and the mind is being joyful, and it is with this lightness, and so the mind, even the body go faster, and you want to do good.
Yeah, and this is this mental lightness is translated into physical lightness. So people feel more healthy, lighter. A person who is depressed or sad or angry, the body literally, we will see in the chapter number 6, literally the body becomes heavy. I dare to say that if we weight ourselves when we are happy and we weight ourselves when we are angry, there are great possibility that we are heavier when we are depressed or angry, because the mind gets like this. But the body also follows the mind. And when we are experiencing Lahuta, it's like El Chavo, you remember? And y vamos, y hacemos, it's already jumping, because this mental agility is coming up. Yes, when we are happy, we feel easy to do things, and Mother Teresa is saying that beautifully.
Okay, so more beauty to come. So Kaya Mudita and Chitta Mudita, the next pair, is the malleability of softness of the Chitta and Chittasika. This characteristic is the subsiding of rigidity. So the mind not being hard and rigid. And its function is to crush such rigidity. And its manifestation is non-resistance, not being resisting.
Beautiful.
And its
Okay.
approximate cause, Chitta and Chittasika itself. So this is the softness of the mind, not being rigid or not being resistant. So it is something like this. The softness. So it's flexible, it's soft, and it is the opposite of conceit and wrong view actually,
Wow.
mana and DT. Because conceit and wrong view are those things that makes our mind rigid, that we are not flexible and we cannot
My idea.
change.
You are
our
wrong.
rigid.
Yeah.
These two.
Yes, so this is the opposite of mana and DT.
And in this case, you imagine if that was an animation. Hopefully, next time we put an animation. You see this thing moving like that. Now that plant is us. The waves is life. Now life just goes this way. Yeah, okay. Now okay. Let's move to the other side. So it's kind of yes. I flow. No problem. Good. Okay. Bad. Okay. Still good. So, but not in a naive way, like not like that. But seriously, they're just moving. Like the example that the Japanese master says is like the bamboo. It is straight. It is always straight. But flexible, because if it was straight and rigid, the wind comes and cracks it. It breaks down. So that's what happens with trees, because they have not enough flexibility. But bamboo is a master. When every time we go here in Guayabos, there are many masters around. So remember that one, master. You see, so it is straight, it is upright, it is clean, but it's flexible. So if the wind comes, the bamboo moves, but it always returns to its stability. Then it goes this way, so the waves of life will be pushing back and forth, and we will never master.
Okay, so that's mental softness. Now let's go to another pair. Kaya Kamanyata and Chitta Kamanyata is the pliability and adaptability of Chittasika and Chitta. So its characteristic is subsiding of non-pliability.
Rigidity.
Kamanyata, bawa, negation. And its function is to crush such non-pliability. And its manifestation is the success of Chitta and Chittasika in making something an object. So it's when it is adaptable, it takes it is more pliable, it's more flexible to take kusala objects. And its proximate cause is Chitta and Chittasika itself. In the same way, yes.
I was thinking, how much control do we have of the regulation of those? Because in all of those pairs, the proximate cause is Chitta and Chittasika. And like even there, no, it says pliability and adaptability of Chittasikas and Chitta. How much control, like?
Actually, we don't have to do anything about it, because this is universal, beautiful mental factors.
Of kusala.
So whenever there is any kind of kusala, they all come together.
No, but how to do? You're asking how? Just bring the mind to kusala, and all of them will happen. 19. So actually, you remember how many universals of negativity were there? 4. It was ahirika, anotapa, more ignorance and agitation. So actually, doing good is a better business. You get a lot of 19 of beautiful given naturally, universals. Whenever the mind is in the good neighborhood, all of these 19 are definitely there. Who knows how prominent each one is or how strong they are. So how can we control this? If you say Chitta and Chittasika is just happening, just bring the mind towards goodness, and all this will be a given. It is like a coupon, free giving coupon 19. Beauty. Good business. Doing good is good business.
Default mode comes together.
Yeah, doing good is good business.
Good.
The other one's painful and little. This one a lot and beautiful. Oh, good business.
So this is the example that the teachers give is like the purification of gold. So when we refine gold, first we have to take out the impurity,
La
like
scoria.
the sand or the little stones and things that is mixed, and have to clean and clean and clean, and have to put into high temperature and melt it. Then once this process is done, then it is flexible and pliable, adaptable. Then we can make it whatever we want into rings, necklace, and gold bars, or anything. You know, then anything that you can work with it. So you can work with it easily once it is this adaptability is present. So it is the opposite. Adaptability is the opposite to sense desire, ill will, and doubt.
Oh.
When
Imagine
there,
the power of this
Yeah.
ingredient. It kicks away all these three.
when there is sense desire, when there is ill will, and when there is doubt, there is no adaptability. We cannot adapt and we cannot be flexible.
I want this and I want this, and then anger says no. It will be as I said, and then doubt doesn't know and still don't change.
So that's the opposite ingredients. Okay, these three are the ones that shakes the mind, and this one the one that makes the mind flexible.
Have you ever in your life these pairs of ingredients? I always get this image. Have you ever transported a fish tank in a car? Have you ever transported water in a car? It was going like this. Doing this is like when you try to put your hands in the water so that you start stopping the waves. Have you done that? It's like it is moving like this and you are no. One time we were moving and we cannot take the fish out, so we bring the thing and it is just was like, so just the fact of putting the hands there, you were suppressing the vibration, and eventually it was much less just by keeping the hand, not even touching, just keeping the hands on top. Sometimes I feel that the practice to do that with our minds is the same. Just have this presence of care, this presence of stability, and just put the hand there and allow the mind to yes, relax, yes, shh, and then it will be still. And
Is the same
then the
with
water.
a child or with a dog that is like shaking and you just
we do that. Calm down, guys. Tune it down. It's like kind of just the mind. Yes. These are these qualities. Is like.
Okay, so let's go to another one. This is Kaya Pagunyata and Chitta Pagunyata, which is the proficiency or healthiness of Chitta and Chittasika. So its characteristic is healthiness itself, and its function is to crush the unhealthiness
Sickness of
Chitta
mind.
and Chittasika.
Imagine to crush sickness of mind.
And it's manifested as the absence of disability. So the mind is being able.
Healthy.
It's healthy. And the proximate cause are same, Chitta and Chittasika itself. Okay, so this healthiness is mental healthiness is the opposite to the lack of confidence, lack of sada, or lack of mindfulness. So, well, mine is neither heart or brain, but this is just an icon, no? That is the healthiness of mind itself. So sometimes we say it is the brain, sometimes the heart, or whatever it may be. It's just an icon because mind has no shape, no form, so we cannot put a picture. But anyway, this is just what.
Imagine if this information was available to therapists. Just to know that doing good makes a mind healthy. Whatever we can call unhealthiness of mind, it will be gone just by doing good. Be generous, love people, open up, relax. So all these qualities that we're bringing, just by any way we can arrive, unhealthiness of the mind, whichever, how you call imbalance that might be, goodness itself, we just heal it. Let the mind heal itself. Stop leaking and just keep the mind on good, fresh, aired, and any kind of wound of our heart or mind nature will take care of it if we keep the mind fresh and clean. That's the best way to do it is through kusana.
So now from now on, the therapists, they will give remedies and for like 3 weeks of service in the elderly center. So 2 weeks of instead of the medicine.
Yes.
Okay.
The mind can heal itself just by doing good. Unbelievable, no?
Yeah, so
Beautiful.
so when there is
And it's
sada,
free.
yeah. When there is sada and confidence, and when there is mindfulness, then the mind is healthy. So it's the
Faith
opposite of
and
this.
mindfulness is what keeps the mind muscles toned.
Okay, we're going to the last pair.
Wow, charana, así se
Okay, so
bonito.
rectitude of Chitta and Chitta, the last pair. Okay, the characteristic of uprightness, rectitude, is uprightness itself, no? The characteristic. And its function is to crush the tortuousness. Like the
Wickedness,
bending,
bendness.
and its manifestation is non-crookedness. So being upright and not bended. And its proximate cause is Chitta and Chittasika itself. So this is the rectitude of Chittasika and Chitta. Uprightness or rectitude. So when there is defilements, logos and moha, the mind is like that.
Torcida, mente
The
torcida.
mind is
Crooked,
crooked.
crooked.
So, with these defilements, with this crookedness of mind, and all kinds of hypocrisy and fraudulence can happen. It's because of defilements.
The mind wants something, the mind doesn't want something, and the mind doesn't know that he wants or don't want.
So, the opposite,
Wow. Yes.
the opposite of hypocrisy and fraudulence is mental uprightness.
Yes.
Very upright.
Inspiring, inspiring.
Majestuoso.
Okay,
Elegant.
so now we have seen the 6 pairs. So as we see, whenever we do any kind of kusala, any kind of goodness, like being loving, having loving kindness towards all beings, being generous, helping others, using our words for good, practicing meditation or calming the mind, having focus and sharing or doing service, all kinds of these 6 pairs are also included. So that means the mind is being tranquil, being light, being soft,
Wow.
being
Flexible.
flexible, being
healthy,
healthy, and being
And
upright.
upright. Doom. Doom. Ladies and gentlemen, isn't it beautiful, my dear family? It is like, wow.
So,
May our minds become that all the time.
yes, yes.
Wow.
So, if the mind is like that, naturally, the
Oh.
body also feels like that.
Awesome.
Yes, so the body also feels like tranquil, soft, flexible, upright, and healthy.
Wow.
So the beautiful Chattasikas are actually very nice, and this is the 19 universals, the 6 pair, and also the other pairs. Oh, you wanted to take a photo? Okay.
Oh.
You're very good.
Wow. Beautiful, no? This
Amén.
pairs. This pairs.
Yes.
¿Cómo ve, Maru? ¿Cómo ve, Maru?
Muy bien.
Qué lindo, eh?
So now we have finished the 19 universal Chattasikas. So whenever there is kusala, there is always this 19.
¿Dónde está el palito? ¿Dónde está el palito?
So hopefully we all stay more in this neighborhood of healthiness, with confidence, with loving kindness, with adaptability, with mindfulness, with equanimity, patience, flexibility, uprightness, softness, friendliness,
neighborhood,
compassion, lightness,
generosity,
and
gentleness,
gentleness, and most of all,
wisdom.
hopefully, also
Wow.
occasional.
Nice town to live.
Now's time, nice neighborhood.
So may we all
Let's
stay.
move there.
Yeah, Abhidhamma is we are not there yet, so it is occasional. Sometimes it is there, sometimes it is not, and so we need to cultivate it. It does not come as a default mode, unfortunately.
Otherwise we'll be unenlightened already.
Yes.
Wisdom all the time.
So among the 52 Chetasikas, we have already finished the universal ethical variable ones, and also we finished the beautiful. We have finished the universal, and we have only 6 left.
Wow.
Occasions.
Anna, you are fast.
So probably next week we'll be able to finish all Chetasikas, and we're now ready to cook. And we'll see,
Chapter number 3.
what kind of ingredients go together. Or there are 2 ways actually to do this study. Or this cooking, let's say. So Sayaloji also explained that we can either take the menu, which is the chitta, so remember Loba Mula Chitta, the first one, that is with DT, with Somanasa, and prompted, or unprompted, no, remember? So we can either take the menu, take this dish, okay, now let's go to the list of ingredients, what goes into this dish. We can either do it this way, or we can either take an ingredient, okay, loving kindness. How many chitta does it go into?
How many dishes can I do
How
with
many dishes
loving kindness?
can I cook with this? So,
Like
either
if you Google how many dishes can I do with tomato?
ooh, we can count.
Now
Yes.
loving kindness.
So we can either take them. We can first method. We take them ingredients, and then we see what kind of chittas, what kind of menu it can go into. And the next way we can take the menu and then see with this menu what kind of ingredients
we
go
need.
into there. Yes. So probably next week when we finish the last six occasional beautiful Chatasika, then we will go into that. I'm not sure if next week we can start or next. But anyway, it's coming. Okay, so don't miss the next session.
No se pierdan el próximo capítulo a la misma hora.
Gracias a todos.
Beautiful.
May the Buddha's teaching last long. Okay, so let's finish.
Gracias por todo este esfuerzo que hacen, de verdad, porque lo verbal es grandioso, pero todo este trabajo que hacen ustedes de imágenes y de tener todo este compendio, creo que a todos nos sirve muchísimo, y de verdad es un placer y un honor poder tenerlos cerca y poder asistir y estar aquí.
Gracias a todos. Gracias a todos. Continuamos. As we move on and we see how deep is the Buddha's teaching and how much gratefulness we have towards the people who has taken care for so long time to keep this information that definitely will make a positive change in our lives and our families' lives and our society life. Respect is unavoidable. So I think we have seen in ourselves and in many of you and most of you changes on the appreciation towards the teachers and the teacher's teacher. So this is what we do, and we take this moment to appreciate all their work. 2,600 years of all this beauty was spoken by the Buddha in northern India. With such generosity, with such clarity, we appreciate, and may the Sangha, the order, monastic order, continue inspired and alive, so many more generations continue to be benefited by this treasure. So let's recite together. Buddham Sasanam Chiram Ditatu 3 times. Buddham Sasanam Chiram Ditatu. Buddham Sasanam Chiram Ditatu. Meaning, may the Buddha's teaching last for very, very, very long. It is in ourselves to plant the seeds. May the seeds fall in beautiful soil so it can give out healthy plants and many fruits. So we are able, the responsibility now is in our hands to be able to pass it to the next generation, to our own sons, to our own grandsons, so they can continue. And if we don't finish and meet again, may they tell us all these stories again until we finally attain enlightenment. With that intention in mind, we will repeat. Idano punyam,
Idano
nibanasa, pacheyo, hotu. Idano punyam, nibanasa, pacheyo, hotu. Idano punyam, nibanasa, pacheyo, hotu. With the intention that these fruits benefit many beings, and especially those who suffer more than us, we recite Idano punyam, sabasatanam pachima. Idano punyam, sabasatanam pachima. Idano punyam, sabasatanam pachima. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Through the goodness that arises from our practice, may our spiritual teachers and guides of great virtue, our mother, our father, and our relatives, the sun and the moon and all virtuous leaders of the world, may those who are friendly, indifferent, or hostile, may all beings receive the blessings of our lives. May they soon attain the threefold bliss and realize the deathless. Through the goodness that arises from our practice, and through this act of sharing, may all desires and attachments quickly cease, and all harmful states of mind, until we realize Nibbana in every kind of birth. May we have an upright mind, with mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor. May the forces of delusion not take hold, nor weaken our resolve. The Buddha is my excellent refuge, unsurpassed is the protection of the Dhamma. The solitary Buddha is my noble Lord, the Sangha is my supreme support. Through the supreme power of all these, may darkness and delusion be dispelled. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, dear Father.